Well, it is time. Our first Premier League outing. And we're playing Arsenal away. Send help. Yes, folks, how is it going? And a warm welcome back. It's Park to Prem. It's episode number 43. We dropped 2 transfer specials over the last 2 days. If you missed them over the festivities, go catch up on them. And well, today we are back for a game I didn't think would be happening as soon as 2028. It is our first outing into the Premier League. We are predicted to finish rock bottom, and that is perhaps with good reason. This year is going to be a struggle. Now, saying all of that, I did still spend, I think, nearly £50 million on players, but the reality is when you're limited to only English players and you have the reputation of the lowest of low-end championship clubs, there's not exactly a pick of players to pick from. We've assembled a band of misfits for a lot of money. There is still a little bit of wage budget left, so who knows? In the last month, we can maybe add some players, but in terms of the team we have right now, it's set in stone at least for the first game today. I'm really not looking forward to starting this game against Arsenal. Now, as has become a customary to start the new season, we are, of course, going to do a little squad rundown, starting with goalkeepers. Harry Evans was the main man last year. He is now our third choice goalkeeper. Of course, Josh Griffiths, we signed for absolute peanuts. £35,000 for this guy. A very good goalkeeper who's rated incredibly highly by my staff. I do feel like, despite the fact we signed Caleb Anson for more money, both Anson and Griffiths will be given chances in goal this year. I'd love to know down below who you'd play out these 2 goalkeepers. Of course, Anson, significantly more expensive, but I also do think he is just marginally a better goalkeeper. I know when it comes to mentals, Josh has a massive edge, and I suppose when it comes to speed off the line, Josh has the advantage there as well. But as for Anson, love his reflexes. I like his communication and aerial reach as well. It's one of those ones where the polygon makes me think Anson's better, the attributes make me think Griffith's better. So let me know who you think's better down below. We're going to be keeping some faith in Caleb Anson to start the year. Of course, we loaned him back in League One. He was a decent goalkeeper for us there. He is 23 years old, and I think he's got some room to grow. Norwich haven't given him a chance. We're going to give him that chance this year. Now, in terms of centre-backs in the squad, there is one familiar name in the starting lineup in Edmondson. Truthfully, is he a Premier League quality player? Probably not, but the 31-year-old joined us back when we were in League One. He has been a standout performer for the last few years, a bit of a threat from set pieces, and when I needed to rebuild the rest of the defence, I figured he was the one player who could hold down his spot, at least to start the year. I feel like he and JJ will be battling it out, to be honest, for a spot at centre-back this year. With us being up against the odds, battling against relegation, you have to assume there's definitely going to be an impetus to kind of chop and change things and play players based on form. That's one of the reasons why I have ended up keeping around the likes of Luke and Bete and also Will Fish. Not necessarily top quality players, I'm going to be honest. I hope we don't have to use them on the regular, but if things aren't working out, they are of at least a serviceable quality, where I can just throw them in the starting 11 and see what they do. In terms of the new additions at centre-back, Daniel Hoey is the first. Yes, he has 10 positioning. Yes, I spent £10 million on him. But he's English, 21 years old, bags of potential. A little bit concerned about his inconsistency, but I think he can also, like Edmondson, be a bit of a weapon in the air. Really good physicals, I think, is always good. Going up into the Premier League, there's not too many players in the Premier League that aren't physical beasts. So with that in mind, it's something that I always like to put a focus on as a newly promoted team. And I suppose another player who epitomises that is Ari B. We have spent some big bucks on this guy, £9.25 million. Didn't have a particularly great spell at Hearts, if I'm being honest. He's a player who I've used in previous Football Manager saves with varying success. Not quite the best in the air, if we're being honest. His heading and jumping reach could be a smidge higher, but he is rapid, great work rate. Love the fact he's got 13 passing and also 12 vision. Naturally, we do play with ball-playing defenders on the left and right-hand side. He's left-footed. He's good with the ball at his feet. I'm looking for him and Hutchinson, who of course will be a left wing back, to link up with one another. Now, in terms of left wing back options this year, we have Hutchinson, we have Gavin Wallace. Yes, this is perhaps an area of the pitch where we are a little thin on the ground in terms of left wing backs. In an emergency, I think Arian B could potentially end up playing there. Kind of hope that doesn't happen. Of course, Hutchinson was one of our main men last year. I think his creativity is going to be vital if we want to score the goals required to stay up. Over on the right-hand side, similar story. We have Ajaria as our first choice right back. A great little player who, let's be honest, has been here for a long, long time at this point. Playing for us in the National League, has climbed up the footballing pyramid with us. Truthfully, I feel like maybe another year in the Championship would have been best for his development, but we are going to throw him in at the deep end and hope he can swim. Behind him, we have Kevin Pinto, who who mysteriously has lost his face. I don't know why Pinto's lost his face. We'll question that later. Of course, we signed him for £23,000 from Benfica last year. He actually ended up being a really good signing. I don't know where his face has gone. I think I must have accidentally ruined my face pack. And in an absolute emergency, if both Ajaria and Pinto are out, James McConnell is a man I think we can call on at right wing back. I am already training him to play in this position. To be honest, once he starts to pick it up, he might be a player we turn to over Ajaria. Don't know if that's necessarily a controversial take, but he has got a lot of quality. Love the technicals and attacking ability. I think that is more vital, to be honest, than defensive ability in our system. When you play, obviously, a tactic like we do with 3 centre-backs, 2 defensive mids, the wing-backs I don't think have to be the pillar of strength when it comes to defensive ability. Now, in the defensive mid spots, at least to start the year, we are keeping faith with the old guard. Cole Flood, Haig Dolk. I say the old guard. Both of them were playing for us last year in the Championship. Of course, Flood joined us on a free transfer from Aston Villa once upon a time. He is perhaps our best centre mid option. Hoping he's going to have a point to prove this year. And of course, alongside McConnell, who we brought in, who can also play right wing back, Jobe Bellingham also joins our ranks. I think he is going to be a go-to backup option in the deep line playmaker position. Some nice passing, decent first touch, bit of a jack of all trades, perhaps master of some. But you know what? Defensive mid, free transfer. I think we've done okay with him. And behind them, 5th choice defensive mid. There's a little bit of a drop back here. Darko JB. Yeah, JB is still at the club. I am potentially looking to move him on because, to be honest, as much as JB could be the backup defensive mid, I think JJ may even be a better fit for that. As for in the final third, when it comes to centre attacking mids, we actually have a crazy number of players that can play centre attacking mid. Admittedly, they are players already featuring elsewhere in the squad and who I intend to be backups in other positions. In terms of the starter, it's going to be Aaron Ramsey for the year, another player who was with us back in League One. In fact, I think when it comes to our starting 11 here, Ramsey was with us in League One, Flood was with us in League One, Ajaria, Edmondson, technically Anson as well. So 5 of our starting 11 playing this first Premier League game will play for us in League One. That does perhaps reflect poorly on the quality of the squad. Another player who was with us in League One but won't be starting at centre attacking mid is Joe Gelhardt. I am potentially looking to move him on if the interest is there. If he doesn't move on, he will be a serviceable backup centre attacking mid option. Although Alozi here, I think, will be the main man as a backup centre attacking mid. I'm training him to play in this position. He is either-footed, got a little bit of creativity about him. Of course, the 20-year-old, we didn't bring him for an insignificant sum of money. I just like the speed that he's got and the ability going forward. Gelhardt, you can see, has a bit of an edge when it comes to mentals and the vision side of things, but the 20-year-old, I just feel like has bags of potential, and whilst he can play naturally as a striker, don't be surprised to see him thrown in at centre attacking mid fairly often. And as for the striking position, of course, up top, it is Mohamed and it is Sheldon. Just as a reminder, Rashid Mohamed joined us from Reading for £4.4 million, as did Sheldon, although he was slightly more at £5 million. They both came through the exact same intake at Reading. They came through in the very first youth intake of this save game, and now they are playing alongside one another at Wanderers FC. Reading fans must be absolutely fuming. I'm going to be honest, when you look at them head-to-head, Sheldon is definitely the better player, but they are 2 players with lots of room to grow. They're going to be given a lot of opportunities this year. I think Sheldon is Premier League ready. Rashid is definitely being rushed in there, but needs must. Keep a close eye on these guys. There is interest in them. I'm going to be trying to fend that off. And look, if you want to stay up in the Premier League, goals are going to be important. We signed 2 further players, one of which you saw in the first transfer special in Oliver Johnson. Really brought in for the potential that he has, the model citizen personality, and also the fact he's bloody massive. 195 centimetres tall. Can't wait for him to make his debut, and we getting him to watch him in the 3D match engine. He is going to be bigger than everyone else on the pitch. And alongside him, there's a new name. That's right, I made a transfer after the transfer special. Ezio Torre, 26 years old. I've never heard of him either. I can assure you, he is partially English, as you can see here, although he was born in Italy. He has one of the most interesting career histories I think I've ever seen. I'm going to assume that his current ability and his potential ability are kind of reflective of the fact he once upon a time was in Watford's youth setup in real life. In this universe, he's played down in the 4th tier of Italy, then moved up to the 2nd tier and got relegated. Got 18 goals in 32 games. In the 3rd tier of Italy. I've decided to bring him up as a backup striker. Now, he is on £9,000 a week. He is also only joining us for £76,000, which I'll admit looks absolutely ridiculous. Ignore the fact he's injury prone and obviously his lack of credentials based on the rest of his career. If you look at his attributes in isolation, as like an emergency 4th or 5th choice striker, I want to say I could have done worse. This was literally the best option I could find. And I did spend an extra 2 hours after the last transfer special trying to find anyone. This was all I could find. So that is the squad for this year. It comes in at 25 people. There are a few players that, to be honest, I could definitely still look to move on, potentially. I look at the likes of JB, Gelhardt, and Bete as players who are on the chopping block if the price is right. There is still a month left of the transfer window. I don't think we're going to be spending big bucks with what remains of the window, especially because, to be honest, there's not that much wage budget left. But if the right options are out there ahead of deadline day, we will look to add players. Anyway, that's a little bit of a squad rundown. In terms of Arsenal's team news, I've noticed they've got Florian Wirtz out, Odegaard out, Zinchenko out, Martinelli out. Maybe we have a chance, but probably not. Our first game against Arteta's men is at the Emirates. You can see last year they finished third. 2 years before that, they finished second back-to-back. They are a very well-established, at this point, team in the Premier League as one of the top dogs. They won the Community Shield last weekend. They're probably going to be expecting to beat us today. Now, in terms of tactics for this year, we're sticking with the system that I think has worked really well as an underdog team. We are playing with that cautious mentality. We encourage our wing-backs to stay wider at all times. We then have our team instruction set to focus the play through the middle with minimum kind of attacking width. What that means is the wing-backs stick wide, but we are going to look to crowd out the middle of the pitch. That helps us when we're attacking, but it also means that when we lose the ball, there is just no room in the middle of the pitch for teams to counter-attack and kind of get the ball quickly through us. As a result, we're able to filter them into the wide areas and try and break things down a little bit more. Obviously, in terms of the team, Arian B making his debut alongside Hoey. Bit of a baptism by fire for our two new centre-backs. The defensive mid, wing-back, and in fact, the entire attacking setup here, I realise, it's just the exact same team from last year, isn't it? There's not a load of new faces in the starting 11 just yet. Like I said earlier, though, I think a lot of this season is going to be picking players based on form. I do feel like we are sending lambs to the slaughter a little bit here by sending some of these younger players out into battle. They are definitely not Premier League ready, but you know what? Baptism by fire is needed. Expectation for this year from the board is very low. They've just told us, yeah, try and stay up, but if you go down, not the end of the world. That does leave me hopeful that if everything goes completely wrong this year, we won't get the sack, but let's hope it doesn't come to that completely. Okay, first game in the Premier League. First highlight in the Premier League. We're giving the ball away in an awful area. It doesn't look good, does it? Wirtz apparently has an injury. He's on the pitch playing. Frimpong shoots. I don't know what Anton's doing in goal. We've got it away from danger. I feel like the players are nervous. I'm just going to shout some encouragement. Look at their green, happy, smiley faces. They love it. Saliba launches it to Marino at the edge of the box. He is going to look to drift wide. Options queued up in the middle. Ito is unmarked to the edge of the box. And, well, he is dangerous. He drills it in. Jesus' shot is blocked. I don't enjoy this. It's really painful already. And now they've got a corner. Florian Wirtz is over it. There's all these big, scary players whose names I've heard of before. And then we've got Daniel Pissin Hoey in at centre-back with 10 positioning. You know what? I shouldn't talk about Hoey like that. In Hoey, we trust. Where is he? There he is. Frimpong doesn't have a left foot, so it's fine if he wants to cut in. Marino does have a left foot. That's nearly gone in. Everything's fine. Remain calm. Just as a reminder, the second game in today's episode is against Norwich, who were promoted with us. I view that as a more winnable game than this one, or at least I did going into things today. I don't think I've changed my mindset. Don't think this game's winnable still, based on what we've seen in the first half of the first half. Then again, you know what? 28 minutes played. Arsenal, they've not scored yet. Granted, they've now got a corner. They're good at these in real life. They're good at them in game as well. Gonzalo Inacio scores. I think Anson made a great save off an initial header by Saliba, but it wasn't enough. Saka with the low drilled in cross. Was it Saliba? It was. Anson actually made a really good save there, but there was no one to bail him out. And it is 1-0. I mean, the positive is it's only 1-0 to Arsenal. The negative is we've had 28% of the ball and not a single shot on target. I've got to make a decision here on a stylistic change in this kind of game. And it's actually a change that we made a lot last year. I'm going to switch our mentality to positive. And in possession, we're going to look to play the ball out from the back even shorter and not look to pass into space. I know this looks a bit counterintuitive in terms of we're not creating anything going forward. And yet now I'm telling the players to keep it shorter and play out from the back slower. But I think the reason for the lack of creativity is, well... we're not having any of the ball. At least by setting things up like this, we should hold on to the ball a little bit better. I am also going to encourage the players when possession's lost to counter-press just a little bit. We don't normally have that on, but in this kind of game here where we are chasing shadows and just not having enough of the ball to even create anything with it, I think it's just a necessary change. Wirtz for them with a free kick from deep. Whipped it. It goes over everyone. there's been a penalty blown for there. There is VAR now, of course, in the Premier League. Is it going to come to our rescue here? Probably not. I mean, our first goal conceded was from a corner. Our second goal conceded might well be from the penalty spot. From open play, we've not been awful, but obviously set pieces are a thing you have to deal with in football. And now we've got to deal with Bukayo Saka sticking it in the bottom corner and making it 2-0. This year, there is going to be games against the big dogs where the score gets run up against us and we get absolutely destroyed. I've accepted that. We just need to scrape a few wins in games like this, scrape a few wins against the odds, against kind of mid-table teams, win against the low-end teams, maybe we have a chance. What I will say is the game next up against Norwich suddenly feels all the more important today. I mean, there's 20 minutes left of this game here. I suppose this is a chance perhaps to bring on some of the new kids and see what they can do. Make some subs just to, well, stretch players' legs as much as anything. Try and get some players that didn't get the full pre-season up to speed. You know what? Bellingham on you come, McConnell on you come, Johnson and Torre up top. And you know what? Alozi as well. Let's get some fresh legs in the final third. And why not? This is stupid. I'm going to attacking mentality to try and make something happen. Hutchinson free kick. I mean, at least we've had a shot now. I mean, despite the fact we're 2-0 down, we've not been blown out in this game massively. Well, we've got another set-piece chance here. I'll tell you what, Torre is not marked. They are not showing the Italian non-lead phenom any respect. And, well, maybe it's a shame Hutchinson couldn't pick him out there because the shot was all right. It was parried over. And when Torre scores, it's going to be one of the greatest underdog stories ever. Signed for £80,000 from a Serie C club. There will be tears in my eyes if he can get a goal for us. Alozi trying to make something happen in a wide area. I mean, I'm not being funny. Alozi for us versus Florian Wirtz. I know who the better player is, and I've got some bad news for our 20-year-old from Swansea. Anyway, we've been really good in this game in the second half in terms of limiting opportunities and not being completely destroyed. Of course, if Arsenal get one more back, 3-0 suddenly looks like a lot more one-way traffic. There is a VAR check. I think Saka is probably onside here, I'm afraid to say. Yeah, he is onside, isn't he? It's 3-0. Look, we had to roll the dice and take a risk. Has it worked out? Not quite, but I want to say it could be worse. We've lost 3-0. It's not good. Ultimately, games against Arsenal probably aren't going to decide our fate this year, but I think that there is perhaps a reminder of what we're actually up against. Oh my word, I've just had an inbox item come in. Andy White has been signed by Leicester for £29 million, and we get 50% of it. We've just received £14 million, and Andy White is now playing for Leicester. Now, on the one hand, it's annoying because he's gone to Leicester. On the other, of all the teams he could have gone to in the Premier League, it's not one of the massive clubs that I can never sign him back from. You know, if he went to like a Liverpool or a Man City, the Andy White dream is probably over. I mean, Leicester's media prediction is 17th. They are going to be one of our big rivals this year. I can't wait for Andy to score against me. I will cry. I did notice with Andy that he did sign there for £84,000 a week to Leicester. I do want to quickly look at something. Now that we have played a game in the year, I can actually look at the wage spend of all teams and look at salaries per year to put things in perspective a little better. You can see here, Man City spend £400 million a year on wages. Someone like Brentford, 107 million. Someone like Birmingham here down at the bottom, 36 million. That is half of Leicester's. We spend 13 million pounds on wages. My wage budget is 10 times lower than West Ham's. If we stay up this year, it will actually be one of the greatest miracles ever. Some good news though, with that sell-on of Andy White, our overall balance looks a little prettier, and actually, that money has now been put into the transfer budget. I didn't even know they'd made a bid on Andy White. I mean, that doesn't mean now I can actually spend some money if I want to. I mean, the question is, do I want to? Who will I sign? The answer to all of that is, I don't know. You know what? I do want to give it a few more games before I start considering where I might want to spend tens of millions of pounds. Up next, we've got Norwich. They are currently second in the Premier League. They won their first game of the year against Birmingham 7-2. I mean, welcome to the Premier League, Birmingham and Norwich. Two newly promoted teams playing against one another. Hopefully we fare better than Birmingham. I'll see you in a week. Okay, no new transfers to speak of right now, so we're going to jump straight into the second game of the episode and the second game of the season. Norwich newly promoted with us. Of course, they won the Championship last year, and they were a bit of a step above everyone else. They were in the Premier League 2 years ago and got relegated. They're back here again now. I mean, look at their league history here. Norwich like to go up and down. They've won their first game of the year 7-2. I'm not expecting an easy match. Now, in terms of our team news, we are sticking with the cautious mentality. I'm not going to make any adjustments to the starting 11. I feel like judging the squad based on one game against Arsenal probably not the fairest of things to do. So instead, we're going to go straight into this game and hope we can show a bit of the fight we did show against Norwich last year in the league. They definitely weren't kind of outclassing us by any serious degree when we met them in league matches. Of course, over the course of the year, the games where we slipped up, especially in the second half of the year, did lead to them running away with the league title. But today, I'm keeping faith in the players that we know. I want that first win of the season. And of course, Caleb Anson playing against his former club. JJ on the bench for us, also another former Norwich players. So there's a few players perhaps with a point to prove. Norwich knocking the ball around the back. I was trying to make a pun with their centre-back called Mback. It's failed spectacularly. Totti for them lays it wide to Borja Signs. All these players with like foreign-sounding names. And I'm sat here with all the English players. And, well, Ajaria here, speaking of the English players, running down the line. There's 3 players in the middle. It's in the back of the net. Is that an own goal? It is. Shout out to Totti. Don't get how it's gone in. We've taken the lead. Ajaria latched onto the loose ball and brought the play forward really, really nicely here, all the way to the byline. He drilled the ball across and, yeah, look, there's a bit of fortune as to how that's gone in. I'm not going to complain. 20 minutes played, not a classic. We've had more of the ball than we did have in the last game, although we're still not having as much of it as perhaps we'd like to have. Norwich haven't been able to create anything when they do have the ball, and well, we now have the ball here. Arian B, record transfer, lays it to Hutchinson, he drills it across, and Mohamed's had a shot that's gone out for a throw in there. That is awkward, isn't it? One thing that we do need to have sooner rather than later is some goals from our strikers. I feel like confidence and form in Football Manager is such a strong thing. When you're a big team, you create a load of chances, and so strikers will inevitably score goals. With the situation that we have here, we're not going to create as much as like a big, super successful team. So in terms of our strikers getting off to good starts, that'll hopefully set them on their way for the rest of the year. It's half-time already in this game. There's not been a shot on target, but we are winning crucially. Probably will look to make some subs a little sooner in this game than we did the last one. First 10 minutes of this second half have come and gone already, and I'll be honest, it is not a classic, but at the same time, eking out wins might well just be the name of the game this year. Sheldon on a booking, going to take him off for Johnson. Elsewhere, Jobe Bellingham, I'm actually going to bring in for Ramsey at centre attacking mid. I know I mentioned Bellingham, being more oftenly deployed as the deep line playmaker backup, but there's definitely a world where he could be our attacking midfield option. When it comes to the rest of the team, I don't think I'm going to make any more changes just yet. Probably going to be looking to bring in some fresh legs in the wing-back area if I was going to guess. Although saying that, Hutchinson has had a pretty blooming good game so far on a 7.5 rating. Still a real lack of opportunities in this game. There's just no highlights happening. Going to bring in James McConnell at right wing-back, and I'm going to bring in Alozzi to play as the pressing forward alongside Johnson. Both our strikers very good with the ball on either foot. Of course, 2 of the new additions to the team. It'd be great if one of them could score today, but I'll be honest, at this point, I'm just looking at our defence thinking it'd be great if we don't concede today. And well, I might well have jinxed that. Anson, I'm sure, would love a clean sheet against his former club. I'd love that, and also perhaps a second goal here, just to ease the nerves. McConnell lays it forward to Johnson, who in the match engine has a fantastic afro. The number 20 drills it across, and Haig Dolk probably should be finishing that. 7 minutes left. I'm just staring in the top left, lads. We are doing very, very well here. Praise the players. Get some green, happy, smiley. None of them are smiling. None of them are happy. But there's only 3 minutes left. This has been an awful game of football. We do not care. It is our first win of the Premier League season. It was an own goal that settled it. We were awful. Anson got a clean sheet and a 7.7 rating against his former club. You know what? I'm not going to complain. Ultimately, Norwich scored 7 goals against Burnley in their last game, so to keep them quiet and get a clean sheet, not a bad turn of events. Obviously, it doesn't exactly bail out our goal difference results like that, but the name of the game is going to be probably getting a point per game. 38 to 40 points, usually what's needed to be ensured safety in the Premier League. We've got 3 points from 2 to start the year. Not entirely sure how Hutchinson got man of the match in that last game, but you know what? We didn't concede. He was left wing back. I guess he created some stuff that we just didn't see. Right, you know what? In terms of performances, I'll admit it, not classics, but we've got 3 points from 2 games. That will do me for now. Now, in terms of upcoming games, Brighton, Man United, Tottenham don't exactly feel winnable, so that win against Norwich feels all the more important. We have got Birmingham, who we were promoted with, and Leeds in September. The fixtures are actually really nicely spaced out this year, to the point where I'm kind of looking at October thinking maybe that'll be a good point to come back. Hopefully between now and next episode, whenever it is we return, we will have made some more transfers to try and strengthen this squad. Let me know what you think of the team and the performances today down in the comments. I'll see you on Monday for more Park to Prem action as always. If you've enjoyed things, leave a like, and I'll see you next time for more. I'm out.